day 20. Day 19 and day 20. Hello and welcome back to another Inktober video. So this video is a little bit late and I didn't do one yesterday, but that's fine. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I tried so hard to stay on track and keep doing one a day, but I needed a break, and yesterday was that break. It's just gonna have to be that way. So instead of trying to do 2 images separately to catch up, I instead combined the 2 prompt words to do 1 illustration. And I thought that was the best way to do it without overwhelming myself. And so that's what I did. So the word for day 19 was dizzy, and the word for day 20 was coral. So I made an executive decision to turn Dieter into a coral zombie, for lack of a better word. He is being overrun by coral. I don't know, maybe he spent some time sleeping on a coral reef and it started to overcome him and has taken over his brain. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So he's got coral growing out of him in all places, and he is looking pretty dizzy because his brain is being overrun by coral. So I know he's a ghost, and technically it probably could just, probably wouldn't be able to actually grow on him because he's a ghost, but semantics. I needed an image, and this is what I came up with. I didn't want to do it to Aurelia because she's an angel, and I don't feel like she has quite the right vibe for this sort of imagery. So Dieter became my coral zombie puppet. And that's just the way it is. I tried to mix a coral colour. It took me a little while. As you can see by my palette, there's quite a few different shades of pink and orange and red there, trying to make a coral colour. I ended up just deciding to use those colours and make it a limited palette with sort of those pinks, oranges and reds. I do add a yellow in later. I did manage to make a coral sort of pinky orangey colour, which is what I'm colouring this piece of coral with. And yeah, I kept it very simple in the way of colouring. It doesn't really get difficult and confusing until after I finished the ink. I decided this time that I wanted to do the line art with pencil, just to give it a bit of a different feel. And also, since I missed a day, I wanted to make a little more effort to make this one look good. And I always like how using pencil to do line art over the top of Copics looks, so I thought it will probably look just as good if I do it over the top of these inks. And I was correct. I do really like how it looks. However, it took a long time, which is why this video is a little bit late. I started at nearly 9:30, 10 o'clock to do this image because I was watching a movie with my family. We were watching Avengers Infinity War. We're kind of go through all the Marvel movies with my stepson, and we watched that one last night. So as you probably know, that is quite a long movie, and so he didn't end up going to bed till like nearly 9 o'clock, and then I had other things I had to do before I could sit down and draw. So yeah, so it took me a long time. I didn't finish till nearly midnight, and by that point, my fiance was coming to bed, and I didn't want to have to move rooms to do audio, so I left it till this morning to do the audio and upload. So this probably won't be uploaded by the end of the 20th in UK time, but hey ho, spaghetti-o, doesn't really matter. I already missed a day. What's a little bit of a late video gonna do, huh? So I had a lot of fun with this one. I managed to mix a really nice skin tone by accident. I was just trying to make a sort of paler coral colour to use because, yawn. That was a weird yawn. It came out my nose. Ugh. What was I saying? I'm trying to mix a lighter coral colour for doing his skin because I was keeping it as a limited colour palette, and I ended up making an actual sort of skin tone shade. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as it is. And it looks alright. And then I just kept playing around with other colours for the rest of it, trying to make it look, what's the word? I don't know, make it pop off the page. Make it exciting to look at. Some pretty colours and dynamics and contrast and all this fun stuff. Goodness me. Sorry, it's like 9 a.m. and I haven't had my coffee, and I'm trying to record this audio really quickly because I have somewhere to be, and yeah, I need to get this done so I can get ready to go out. But I didn't want to leave it until this afternoon because then it would definitely be really late. I didn't want it to be too late. So I'm recording the audio now while I'm really tired and I haven't gotten ready to go out yet. But hopefully getting dressed won't take me too long. And do I need to shower? I should probably shower. I'm probably smelly. Just gonna have to have like a 2-minute long shower. The beauty of being a procrastinator as I am. But I'll do it because I'm awesome. I'm so tired. So, for sorry, my coffee got stuck in my throat. For the hair, I went with the pale coral colour that I made, not the skin tone one, but the actual coral colour I made. I just added a little bit more water to it so it would be a bit paler for his hair. And I tried to make it look like hair. I'm not very good at colouring hair. It's something I definitely need to practice to make it look like it's not just one big blob of a shape, and actually give it strands and stuff so you can tell that it's hair. Because I need to practice. It's tricky. So I used that colour to sort of give shading lines to try and give the effect of there being strands throughout the hair. And then once that was dried, I added like a gradient of dark to light to just make it a little more interesting to look at. And I really like how it looks. I'm very happy with how it came out. His hair is, I don't know, a little bit darker maybe than what I usually intend for it to look like, but given that it's a limited colour palette, it doesn't really matter all that much. Though the fact that his skin tone is quite skin tone-esque, it does look like it's actually meant to be all this colour, so he kind of looks like he's got pink hair and like bright yellow and bright orangey red pants, and it's kind of funny in my opinion. But that's just me. I think it's humorous. So once I'd finished that and added a little sort of shading to the coral so you could kind of tell where the bits in the back were, I believe I come in with my coloured pencil to do the line work. But, oh no, shade the eyes. Oh, shade the eyes. shade the eyes, shade the teeth. Put the paintbrush down, and there we go. Okay, so come in with the pencils. I had to let it dry, obviously, because otherwise the pencil wasn't going to stick. And I'm using my Prismacolor Color Erase pencil in Tuscan Red. This is the one that I used to use for my sketching all the time. My fiance used to use these, and when I started dating him, I used to use just a HB pencil, no issue. And then he introduced me to using these things. And now I can't sketch with normal pencil. I just can't do it. Nothing ever turns out right. So I have to use color pencil, and specifically color erase pencils are usually what I go for because they're erasable. I also have some colored mechanical pencils I use sometimes, but I get really frustrated because sometimes the leads keep breaking and breaking and breaking, and it's like, frustrating. So usually I use the color erase pencils, which is why I have quite an assortment of colors in the color erase pencils. So I'm using the Tuscan Red for this because I thought, given that it's a very overwhelmingly warm colored piece, I would use this instead of the purple that I normally use when I line over my Copic images. So I'm using the Tuscan Red, and I don't know if it was the paper or the ink or just this particular pencil, but I struggled a little bit to get the color to stick well. Like, you know how when you use a colored pencil or any pencil over like a shiny surface, and it just doesn't stick sometimes, and you're like, this is annoying. It kind of felt like that a little bit in places. So I struggled to actually get the pencil to stick, which is why it took so darn long to do the lines. I did get there in the end, obviously, but it took like a few sharpenings. You've got to make sure your pencil is sharp, otherwise you're just going to make messy lines. It's not going to look good. So it took a few sharpenings and a few going over and a little bit of scribbling in places to just try and darken out the lines enough. I think that was the only problem I had with this, is the lines in some places wouldn't go dark enough, and that's the issue I had. Like around the eyes, for example, the ink of the irises that I used looks darker than the lead of the pencil, so I was tempted to go around with ink and actually ink the eyes, but I didn't want to do that because then that area of the image would look starkly different than the rest of it, and I didn't want it to make me go, now I should just ink the whole thing. So I didn't do it. I just dealt with the fact that the eyes weren't as dark as I wanted them to be. And given that the Tuscan Red is actually one of my darker colours in the Prismacolor Color Erase pencils, I didn't want to change colours to try and make it look darker. So I just dealt with it. I stuck with it. It doesn't look bad. It's just his eyes don't quite pop as much as I would normally have the eyes pop. But, you know, hey-ho, spaghetti-o. Ugh. Tea. Now, I'm not really sure what else I can talk about for this particular image. I said a lot. Yeah, just added some shading. So the way I use the pencil is I do the liner and then I just do some sort of scribbly shading in places, make it look a bit sketchy, because everyone knows sketches always look better than the finished piece. There's no argument. Sketches just look better. I think it's because they're more freeform, they're more flowy, they're less rigid. You lose something along the way, in my opinion. So when I do this, I add like sketchy lines and a little bit of scribble shading every now and then, just to give it that sort of sketchy feel back. Which is another reason why this took so long. If I was just lining this with ink, I would just line it and be done, and that would be that, and it would look crisp and clean and rigid and dull. So you can see I'm adding some scribbles there on the t-shirt to add it, let's try try that sentence again. Adding some scribbles on the t-shirt to try and give some effective folds and dimension. I don't know what I was trying to say that first time because that was just a mess. Now, around the coral, I just did some little bit of extra scribbles to push the bits in the back further back, and then added some like dots and stuff to try and give it a bit of texture. Didn't really work that well because the pencil wouldn't come out as dark as I wanted it to in places. So I think if I'd used a darker pencil, or I don't know, maybe a different colour so it stood out more, it might have worked better, but I still really like how it came out. And that's this image. After I finish recording, I do add a spiral around his head to make him look a bit more dizzy, because my fiance looked at it and was like, doesn't really look dizzy. So I was like, okay, I'll add that. But other than that, that's the image, adding some highlights and all that. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things that help my videos out. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.